If last night was just a disaster, tonight was a success. Last night, excuse me, 2 nights ago was a disaster. Last night was a success. Um, it just goes to show, I, I mean, for me, right? It just goes to show me just how much what I think about and what kind of excites me or what kind of gets me going has an impact. It, I've thought about why I had such a hard time sleeping 2 nights ago compared to today, and I often, when I do this kind of thing, will look for comparisons just to give me um, just more understanding of what I've got going on inside. And the sleep experience 2 nights ago reminded me of the sleep experience that typically happens after I would watch the Washington Football Club. Um, I'm trying to find new ways to describe my beloved team now that the name has been retired. So anyway, when I would watch uh, a Washington game, I would, especially at night, I would have a heck of a time falling asleep, no matter if we won or not. It was as though the just energy inside of me was just too up, and trying to sleep on top of that energy just wasn't happening. So anyway, last night was just a regular night. Um, although the the storms that we had all last night were just constant. The roll of thunder was constant, and the fear in my dog's breathing were constant. Poor dog. When he hears thunder, he just gets freaked out. But anyway, that's where I'm at on sleep. Last night was good. Could have slept a little bit more, but Wednesdays is 6 a.m. So let's do stanza 8. So just to kind of set you up, whenever I read a stanza, I encourage you to get as kind of settled in and ready to train as you can, because it's worth just studying your initial reaction. It's worth to just, okay, let me hear this with open ears and get my reaction, notice my reaction, and then we go into the practice. Everything that happens as we continue on in the Art of Peace practice is an attempt to help you become more and more aware of the nuance of your being. And with that greater awareness will come a greater sense of, I was going to say control, I was going to say authority. Choice is probably the best word. A greater sense of choice for how to participate with whatever shows up. And what I mean by that is, 2 nights ago, I was activated by a conversation that I had with a neighbor. And it was a great activation. It got me feeling really, really good. I was excited. I am still excited. But that excitement moved through my whole system, and I didn't sleep. And not sleeping has a lot of memory for me. So the choice I had was to either fight that and turn it into a big deal, or to just kind of roll with it. Now, when I rolled with it, I had to roll with the uncomfortableness of being up at all times, all points of the night, and not falling asleep. So that was uncomfortable. I had to adapt to it and roll with it. So the point I'm trying to make is that what you're evolving, what you're becoming more choice-filled around, is not like a perfect life or everything's great. It has nothing to do with that. It's simply the fact that the changes that happen and that will always happen become less shocking and disorienting, and more choice-filled and curious. That's the difference. All right, so as I read through this stanza, see if you can just be present. Let's just do this real quick. So real quick, notice something around you, light or shadow, sound. Then just real quick, feet, tailbone, belly button, heart, throat, top of the head. Take a full breath in. And then here's the stanza, the 8th stanza of The Art of Peace. Life is growth. If we stop growing, technically and spiritually, we are as good as dead. The art of peace is a celebration of the bonding of heaven, earth, and humankind. It is all that is true, good, and beautiful. Let that sit inside you for just a moment, and then we'll begin the practice. Find a pattern that you can assess with your senses. So a pattern of light and shadow, maybe close your eyes and look for a pattern of sound. Notice temperature's impact on your whole body, the impact on the open skin, the impact on the skin that's clothed. Smell, taste in the mouth, and just for a second, just imagine yourself as the center and look around you in your mind's eye, from all the patterns that you put together, from your sight picture to your sound to your smell to your taste to your touch. Visualize the world directly around you. Kind of imagine yourself above yourself, looking down, looking around, just kind of seeing yourself in this space, the space that you're in, and all the patterns that you've addressed and assessed and analyzed are all kind of taking place around you, and you are just kind of sitting calmly right in the middle. Now, from an awareness of outside, go inside, starting with attention on the space directly beneath you. This is your ground. This is where your body is touching something. What parts of your body are touching something? Now the pelvis. Pelvis is the base of the spine. The pelvis is also where your body kind of organizes itself as an upright thing. So from all fours to upright, that organization, that shift, that holding, all takes place in the pelvis. And you've got these really big muscles called your psoas muscles that are on the insides of your lumbar spine, kind of going up, and then they go down and they go through your pelvis and connect to your thigh bones. And so as you're kind of adjusting or feeling your pelvis. Imagine these muscles going through and connecting to your inner thighs. So think of the relationship between your inner thigh and your lower back. Notice that right in the pelvis, and then when you go into your core space, your pelvis and your core space have this kind of relationship, kind of the back of your core and the front of your pelvis balance each other. And then from there you go into your heart space, and your heart space is what kind of sits on top of the balance or the structure or the sturdiness of the pelvis core connection. So on top of the pelvis core is the heart space. So when you get to the heart space, you've essentially established kind of the column of the pelvis core in order to support the complexity of the heart space. So you got your heart there in the middle, off to the left a little bit. You've got your ribs, you've got your shoulder blades, you've got your collarbones. What are you doing with your arms? Where are your shoulder blades? Is there any dipping forward? Can you balance that without forcing it? Can you feel a tiny pinch, a tiny coming together of your shoulder blades behind you and the tiniest opening in the front of the collarbones? Just a hint, just enough to kind of ping it. Like, I'm here, I got you, I'm paying attention. And then come into the throat. So the throat is a column, right? And it doesn't have as much stuff per se, but it's subtler. It's more kind of complex and intricate and amazing. There's just a lot of really subtle, special, amazing things in this small space we call throat. And when you put your attention there, think of attention and open and space and the absence of constriction, the kind of spaciousness, ease, so that all these delicate, kind of sophisticated pieces that go down and travel up in between the big parts of the body and the brain in this kind of super highway. Just notice that, and then come up to your head, back of your head, compared to the face. Think about the back of the head and how little there is to kind of be aware of, and then your face, how much there is to be aware of. Eyebrows, muscles behind the eyes, muscles around the cheeks and the nose, muscles at the top lip, muscles at the bottom lip, muscles at the chin, muscles at the jaw, tongue. Then tip top of your head is the tip top of your spine. So see if you can feel the connection between the tip top of your head and that core pelvis connection. That core pelvis connection with the big muscles that attach at your lumbar spine, kind of going up to your bottom ribs. They travel down and forward to connect to your inner thigh bones. So from this point, you've established kind of the outer world, the patterns of the outer world. You've now kind of looked at the patterns of your body, found the ones that are the most comfortable for you and aligned. And now we go into the breath, third bell. And let's just look at different patterns of breath here. First, there's the inhale. There's the exhale. And then there's just the back and forth with ease. So focus on the inhale. Focus on the exhale. back and forth with ease. Now, as I said in the title, change and growth hook up all the time. So let's change something about the breath and just notice what happens, right? So take your breath all the way in and hold it. Let it go. Notice if you feel any change in your body. All right, now full breath in. Full breath out. Hold here. Hold your breath at the bottom of full breath out. After you breathe in, sit for a moment. Notice change in the body. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a pant, like a dog. Right? You don't have to do this for very long, but just notice how the pattern change will create change in the body. Now it's not so great that it'll change for any significant amount of time, but what you're looking for is just to notice how if you shift a pattern, creating a new kind of pattern of breath, you'll feel something different. You'll feel maybe something move in your head or in your body or in your chest or in your heart rate or temperature or something. That this relationship between change and something new, feeling something new, that's growth. It's growth because as you notice it and as you interact with it and just see it, you start to recognize patterns in relationships. This happens, this happens. If I do this, then this, then that. And the more you have a relationship to what's taking place in the present moment with your body, the better you'll notice when things change that you didn't perceive or didn't anticipate. And you'll have some options. Oh, if this does this, then I could do this because this does that. So just pant, 10 seconds maybe, and just sit with that. Let's sit for about a minute. Okay. Here's another interpretation of the stanza. So I'll reread it and then I'll give you the interpretation. Life is growth. If we stop growing technically and spiritually, we are as good as dead. The art of peace is a celebration of the bonding of heaven, earth, and humankind. It is all that is true, good, and beautiful. And then I've adapted this to say, if you stop training and stop understanding your power to influence your inner environment with the best version of yourself, you will return to the old version, the blind leading the blind. You will not stop because who you are matters. I haven't kind of looked at this in a while. If you stop training and stop understanding your power to influence your internal environment with the best version of yourself, you will return to the old version, the blind leading the blind. You will not stop because who you are matters. Yeah, change and growth hook up all the time. And it's a constant. And I think there's a dramatic misunderstanding by so many people that the goal is things staying the same. Now, I probably participate that in the way I'll talk about things being sustainable. But I think there's a difference between sustainability and the inevitability of change. So we find sustainability, we find balance as best we can with the understanding that change is inevitable. And the way we look at change and our attitude towards change has a big influence on how we change or what aspects change when things become unfamiliar. And I think the practice affords an opportunity to see change more from a space of curiosity and almost excitement than dread and foreboding. And the reason why the curiosity and excitement have value is that there's growth associated with change. And if you can be curious and kind of in awe by change, you can be of mind to participate with what's changing and how it's impacting you. And if you can notice those kinds of things, then you can kind of ride change and flow with change and bring the best version of yourself to change. Now, the risk is you don't do that, and you kind of bring the ego or the culturally formed identity with you, and that can be tricky, be dangerous. So I encourage you to keep training, keep working, keep practicing. Let's see if there's anybody here to say hi to. Tyrelius Zucarius. Tyrelius Zucarius. Hello. That's a magnificent name. The person who wrote the quote is Morihito Ueshiba, the founder of the martial art Aikido. And he wrote a book called The Art of Peace. And we are studying the art of peace over the next 114 days. Let's see. Alrighty. See you later, Armor Down. Talk to you tomorrow.